Alright, so, oh look, my name is William. Alright, now today I'm going to talk about age keying bills and also social media bans. If you click on it, right here. Let's go down over here where it says that, and you can go get on here. Alright. Now, today I'm going to talk about age gating bills and also social media bans, and I'm going to be talking about that too. So age gating bills, it says limit teenagers online access to force everyone to give an ID to social media. And it's a copy of your ID, that's why. So age gating bills. Aggressive states across the country take away teenagers' online rights. It started in Utah with 2 laws create a mandated social media bedtime, give parents a complete control of their kids' accounts, messages, and passwords. Utah lawmakers claim their curfew and control bills to help children, but these bills actually make children less safe by increasing state and parental surveillance and restricting access to community. And Nick Banner's worst administration is like this spread. Arkansas has passed a copycat bill, and Louisiana and Texas are trying to follow Utah's lead, introduced federally in Congress. Well, yes, I know. Well, yes, I know. Texas has passed, I know, the App Store Accountability Act. You know, and that's a very unconstitutional law. I know that's why it got signed a law in May of last year. I know that's why. So let's read about this one. Okay, now we have to learn some here, because most Americans, they want a social media ban, and that's because they don't know how bad it is, and that's why. Well, first of all, I oppose social media bans because I know how bad it is anyway. Well, because it's not banning social media. First of all, they're going to ban social media for kids, for under 16s. Okay, but, and first of all, how are you going to do that? First of all, this is why. I know, many people are going to think it's amazing, but they don't know how bad, but they don't even know how you don't know how the social media is going to happen. You know, that's why. Well, I'll tell you how it will happen. Well, by forcing adults over the age of 16 to give a copy to upload a copy of their ID to social media. Yes. Do you want to force adults to upload a copy of their ID to social media? That's what they're trying. That's what they're trying to do with these social media bans. And that's why I oppose them, and that's why. Now, let me tell you something. Kids can make friends on social media. That's true. But, you know, and I know there's predators on Roblox and Discord, but we need to find a different way to do it. You know, that's why. We need to arrest the predators, and we need to arrest the predators and the pedophiles that are on Discord and Roblox. We need to find a different way instead of making age-fication laws and social media bans. You know, that's why. We need parental neglect. You know, that's why. Because banning kids from social media, and also games too, like Roblox, is not going to help anybody at all. So stop silencing young people, and no more social media bans. Now, if I had kids, I won't let them play Roblox. That's why. And I won't let them get on Discord. Now, while I let them get on Facebook, well, maybe in some parenting family I would. Well, there's already YouTube Kids. I can use that. But once they become a teenager, then I will let them give them parent access to YouTube. Yeah. But that's what I would do. But guess what? I was going to let them use the computer. I'll let them use it with me. That's why. If I was going to give a kid a computer, I'll let him use it with me, and I'll let it put it into a room, not in a bedroom. That's why. Same with a TV, same with a tablet as well. And yeah, I would probably give kids a regular cell phone, not a smartphone anyway. Well, just a regular cell phone to call me, but not a smartphone, and that's why. Because I don't want them to have a smartphone. That's why. Until they get older, until they get old enough to, until they mature enough to have it. That's why. You know, I didn't get a cell phone until I was 22 years old. And my cell phone my first smartphone, and my cell phone was a smartphone anyway. But I got it when I was 22 years old. I lived just fine without a phone. The only technology I have now, and then I got my tablet when I was 25 years old. That's why. But my first technology when I was a kid was just a computer. I played, I played Winnie the Pooh games, the Sesame Street games, and I played just fine. It's just that after that, the only mature game I played was Unreal Tournament. You know, an Unreal Gold, that's why. Well, I'm 32 years old right now, but when I started playing Unreal Tournament, you know, when I was like about, I think 9 years old or something like that. That's why. And now I'm 32 years old. I was doing just fine with Unreal Tournament, but your kid might not be that way. That's why. So. You know. Well, my favorite game of all time is Unreal Tournament. Okay? You know, that's why. But, you know, that's why. So, I oppose social media bans, and I think you should oppose them too. Okay? And you know, they don't protect kids. Social media bans, what it's going to do is just cause data breaches, and that's why. And kids will find a way. Will find a workaround. That's why it will be bypassed. Well, probably by VPNs or kids stealing their parents' IDs. That could happen too. That's why. Because kids, well, first of all, they don't know any better. That's why. And the only way to control what kids do is it's up to the parents. That's why. And yes, parental controls did exist since 1995 anyway. That's why. So that's why I'm going to read this right now. So, here it says right here. Teenagers have the First Amendment to right to use social media. I want my elected officials to oppose social media bans for children. Legislation is a violation of free speech, and it gives the sort of tech companies even more access to our data. These bills must be stopped. Well, if they already become law, the best thing you can do is ask for a repeal. That's why. But right here, progressive states across the country take away teenagers' online rights. It started in Utah with 2 laws: the Creative Footloose style curfew in social media, and give parents complete control over kids' accounts, messages, and passwords. Now these laws are spreading across the country, and they give risk to the internet, and it's probably a surveillance state. That's true. The big tech's advertising model, it hurts kids and teens, but age gating all social media for everyone, that won't solve the problem. It's a direct attack on millions of young people's First Amendment rights. We're in a precious place. Social media footloose bills advancing in Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas. They could spread further fast. Sign a petition and tell your elected officials teenagers have the First Amendment rights to use social media. I want my elected officials to oppose social media bans for children. Legislation of violation of exploited tech companies where data. These bills need to be stopped. Well, they're not really talking about. Well, first of all, they're not really talking about California's social media ban. I'll show it to you, though. You know, already talked about it, that's why. But it's AB 1709, so... You can read about it right here. I don't need to describe it to you. I know it hasn't passed the Senate yet, but I believe it will soon anyway. If you want to read it, it's right here. You can read. You can read what the bill does. It's AB 1709. This is California social media ban. I'll let you read it to yourself anyway. I don't need to describe it to you. Just read it to yourself anyway. Yeah, we'll start. Yeah, that's why. I don't need to describe it to you. That's why. Oh, and the Digital Age Assurance Act is a law. Oh yeah, that's an attestation law because it's not requiring your ID anyway. That's just an attestation on device level. That's why. It's already a law here in California, but it's not just law in California anymore. It's law in Colorado and Illinois, which I already talked about anyway. But yeah. So yeah, you can read AB 1709 to yourself right here. I need to describe it to you. If it becomes law, then you have to ask for a repeal. That's why. Hopefully, if it gets defunded, if you do get defunded for governor, and I can give my That's why. You can ask for a repeal. That's why. Well, I believe Gavin Newsom probably will sign it to law anyway, because he's so stupid anyway. He will sign very unconstitutional bills into law, that's why. There's no way we can stop him. That's why. Well, if you vote for Steve Hilton, you will veto the unconstitutional bills. I hope so, anyway. Now, what about the federal ones? Do you have a federal social media ban? Well, let me take a look. Oh yeah, and I did post about the Stop Nick Shirley Act, but I'll talk about it at a different time, though. Alright, it's blocked, but not to worry. I'll show it to you right here. So there is federal ones. Kids Off Social Media Act. S278. That's a Senate bill anyway. I'll show it to you right here. So that's a summary right here. It will ban. Yeah, it will ban. It will ban kids under the age of 13. So even though people would say, well, we should leave it up to 16. That's why. You could also read the text. For right here. So. I thought there was an HR. I thought there was a House bill for it too. Okay, yeah, there's a House bill for it too. It got introduced in February of this year, yeah. HR 7399, okay. Yeah, we'll ban kids under the age of 13, that's why. It says it right here. And if you want to read the full text with it, yeah, HR 7399, that's basically what it is. Yep, I don't need a photo to describe it to you, that's why. Anyway, let's read more about this. So this is not about health, it's about censorship. Utah's lawmakers talk about health concerns about social media users, living in teenagers, but use social media. But we know it's a front of supply of encouraging for young people. Utah's become a footloose, a bunch of touch politicians trying to dictate how young people behave. Social media has enabled scores of young people organize communities, learn more events, and engage of freedom, learn about intimate music and so much more. Curfews bills like Utah's devastate relationships, communities, and some young people derived and great opportunities. Teenager bans create finding now for new teenagers and marginalized children. We need parents that can monitor, control their internet usage. Children experiencing abuse or harm and living situations can be cut off accessing resources and reaching out for help. In states where LGBTQ plus resources and books and schools are under attack, the internet might be the only avenue for badly needed affirming information. If lawmakers are truly careful of mental health of teenagers, this would be concern for them. While crime ID the internet is bad for everyone. Well, even if yeah, that's why. If it's only for money, if it's only news to get money off the platform, yeah, I would no. But just to but no, I disagree on doing it on. Because this is not because if you do any crime ID, it's not really age verification anymore. It's really identity verification. That's why. Let's read about this. So big tech already collects your personal information, like your mental health status, and sells it to data brokers to make decorating frivolous laws work. Politicians are asking companies like TikTok, it was the international version of Dalian. That's why. I know this is also from, I know it was from China, but now it's in the US now. So yeah. And Meta is the company made by Mark Zuckerberg. That's why the guy who, yeah, it's a parent. Well, Facebook and Instagram and also Threads. It's a parent company for it. That's why. To collect even more of your data. So yeah, Meta will collect. So TikTok and Meta to collect even more data, and then your government issued ID. Under laws like Utah's, both young people and adults would prove their age with a driver's license or other document. Lawmakers shouldn't have tech companies across our data. Well, they're not. Well, it's not just your driver's license. You can also do your passport too. That's why. The thing you use to visit other countries. Yeah, that's why. All this also assumes that all people easy access to government ID. Millions of people in the U.S. don't have documentation like a birth certificate, driver's license, or government IDs because of houselessness, migration, and economic access. Curfew and control bills would mean further digital marginalization for people who already have limited access to so many resources. Lawmakers should have no part of fencing off the internet. They have the right to use social media without it coming with economic barriers of entry. Now, teens have the right to use the internet. Help us stop these bills. Utah lawmakers claim that curfew, the control bills that children and make children access safe. In addition, you are denying LGBTQ plus and marginalizing children access, affirming the communities, and offer FX to make sure legislation spreading. Arkansas had passed a copycat bill. Louisiana and Texas are trying to follow Utah's lead. It has been introduced in Congress. Teenagers have been the forefront of movement of whole big tech companies accountable in demand of for privacy and safety standards. But gatekeeping social media from teenagers bombard hundreds of thousands of young people expressing themselves freely. Instead of infringing upon First Amendment rights, lawmakers need to focus on passing surprising legislation to protect children and expose the practices of big tech companies. Sign a petition and tell lawmakers to stop these ridiculous attacks on young people's freedoms and rights. Yeah, that's why. I don't want these either. You know, if I was a lawmaker, I will stop I would stop these bills. I would vote no on these bills. And if they did become law, I'll try to make repeal bills for them. But that's what I would do if I was a lawmaker. But I'm not. That's why. I might become one in the future, but not right now anyway. Because, you know. Well, right now I'm trying to look for other jobs right now. My mom was thinking about me working at Lowe's or Home Depot. I might work at those places, but later. Well, after I finish get my GED, that's why, because I'm trying to get my GED right now. Yeah, I got more notifications on Twitter or X anyway. But yeah. So that's why I'm against social media bans, and I think you should be too as well. Right here, it says right here. You can also use this, but here, stop killing the internet. So that's why. And let's take a look at Reform California right now and see what they did. Oh, let's take a look at Gavin Newsom's legislation of sales tax to 11.25%. Let's take a look at that. DeMaio warns the Western California's cutting sales urge forwards across Proposition 3. So California Governor Gavin Newsom has signed legislation to align politicians to sales tax 11.25 in California, and nation cost of families over a crisis. So yeah, AB 1768 allows Los Angeles and Contra Costa counties extends to over up to 2% local transactions and use taxes. The law authorizes Los Angeles County and impose an initial tax up to 0% and Costa County and impose up to 0.625%. Gavin Newsom and the California Democrats caused a cost of living crisis, now giving local politicians another way to raise taxes on working families. Said California, says Reform California Chairman, the State Assembly member Carl DeMaio. Newsom removes taxpayer protection cap. So California law limits limited actions budgets of 2%. AB 1768 creates exemption of the Los Angeles goes to counties. So this section allows counties to additional place sale tax increases before voters through December 31st, 2031. Oh, okay, so it will be, so this bill has passed a distributed meeting after Newsom signed it on June 1st, 2026. Officials with the city of Beverly Hills opposed the bill, warning Newsom that the station could push sales tax over 11% on Los Angeles and communities. The city's also the state tax increased businesses, discourage retailers, and disadvantage. California families are already paying through high taxes across the country, DeMiles said. Instead of cutting waste and fixing government, Newsom and the California Democrats keep changing the rules so politicians can demand even more money from taxpayers. Unlike income taxes, sales taxes are imposed whenever consumers purchase and tax per products, regardless of how much money they earn. That means working families for low-income Californians are forced to a larger proportion of their income paying the tax. Small businesses are affected when high prices on customers from paying purchases push them to shop and lower tax communities. AB 768 allows following pattern of Newsom and state lawmakers of the expansion of California's local tax update. In 2025, Newsom has signed 3 additional bills allowing the government to do additional agencies. And it's seen the gap of higher sales taxes. Prop 43 would make sales taxes hikes hard to pass. Joel says Californians will fight back in passing Proposition 43, and it will save Prop 13, Tax Pro Protection Initiative, in the November 2006 election. Prop 43 will restore 2/3 of the full requirement and the loophole of local politicians and just of the citizens' tax of the simple majority. California politicians will never stop using taxes. Voters take away many unit rules, said DeMille. Prop 43 will restore taxpayer protections and local protections to oppose outrageous 11.21% sales tax. California Democrats caused the cost of living crisis, but voters have the power to stop them. Join the fight, pass Prop 43, and block higher sales taxes in your community. Oppose taxhikes.org. Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. This is before, so it's, yes, it says right here. This is like I said before, December 31, 2022, matching of the year 2022 rather than January 2022. Okay. So it's in the end of 2031. So what's going to happen in January 2022 then? Because it's AB 768 anyway. So that's another thing. Yeah, okay, well that's why. Well, that's why we need to vote yes on Prop 43 To block it, that's why. To stop tax hikes. Anyway, what we talked about, what we talk about next video is called Stop CSAM. Okay, well, next video we'll be talking about is called Stop CSAM. Well, I'll be talking about CSAM next video anyway. Yeah, I'll talk about that next video. And then later on, maybe on and maybe after that, I will talk about, and maybe I'll go back on talking about the Stop Nick Shirley Act again, because I haven't talked much about the Stop Nick Shirley Act, but I'll talk about that some other time. Yeah, well, it's a very constitutional bill, but I'll talk about it in maybe after I'll talk about another video, maybe right after I finish talking about, maybe after I talk about CSAM next video. Well, maybe the video after that I'll talk about the Stop Nick Shirley Act again, okay? So that way you can learn about this bill too, that's why. But you know, that's why. But yes. Yes, call your local representatives and your senators too, and ask them to vote no on on these social media bans. That's one, even if it's under the age of 13 or 16s. Or even if they're age of 13s or 16s, please oppose the social media bans. Don't be like these Americans that are supporting it. Please oppose them and ask your representatives and senators to vote no. And yes, ask your assembly member too. That's why. If it's not a law yet, it's already look, if it already has passed the Senate, that's why. But look, I'm talking about the federal ones. So call your representatives and senators and tell them to vote no on the social media bans. I'm talking about the federal ones anyway. And if they do become law, then you will have to ask for a repeal. That's why. And you know that's why. Another legislative session, that's why. Anyway, that's what I gotta say about that. In my next video, I'll be talking about Stop CSAM. And then maybe another video after that, I'll talk about the Stop Nick Shirley Act. After that, alright? You know that's why. So, because right now I have to go to school right now. I'm studying language arts. So I can get my GD pretty soon anyway, and I can start working. And get a job pretty soon anyway, because, you know, usually I don't have a job yet because I'm trying to study for my GD, but I'll get a job soon after that. That's why. After I get my GD and all that, that's why. Anyway, I have to go right now. Alright, so thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. So here, it says Stop CSAM. I'll talk about that next video because I have to go right now. Okay, so thank you for watching this video. Just say goodbye. Adios, and Zaijian.